Hey guys, Marissa at KitchenTableStamper.com. You are coming in on video number 2 in a 3-part series. This is the Sweet Ice Cream Stamp-A-Stack. This is our optional Sweet Ice Cream Stamp-A-Stack class packet. We are going to do the Cinnamon Cider card. So this is our card today. This kit makes 7 cards. The Stamp-A-Stack makes 7 cards. And it makes 2 of the cinnamon cider design. Grab those out of the kit. In video number 1, we made You Melt My Heart. So if you missed that video, it's linked below. And the class packet makes 3 of that design. In video number 3, this is a 3-part series, we'll make this adorable Pear Pizzazz happy birthday card. All right, let's get started with this one. The first thing we want to do is take care of our backgrounds on this card. So we got our cinnamon cider card bases. These are 8.5 by 5.5, and they're scored already at 4 1/4. That's how they come when you get the kit. And we've already cut the designer series paper according to Wonder Recipe number 12. If you missed video number 1, you're going to want to check that out. This is the Wonder Recipe number 12. We took 3 pieces of the ice cream corner designer series paper and we cut it up already according to this diagram. You can find the printable diagram on the blog. Just follow the link in the description below to the blog. It says project details, and then under the embedded video on the blog you'll find a link that says click here to print your Wonder Recipe number 12 cutting diagram. All right, let's start with the background stamping on the cinnamon cider card bases. You'll notice the awesome stitchery that we used on the background. Now, we can't do your stamping, we don't do your embossing for you, so your backgrounds are going to be your choice. I highly recommend this stitchery stamp set from Stampin' Up. It's a gorgeous cling rubber stamp set. It's 8 stamps, so you can use them individually. They make great borders or little touches. It's a fantastic wingman stamp set. You can use it for all those little areas where you say, oh, this card just needs a little something. You add a little stitch along the bottom, add a little stitch along the border, or ink up all of them on your Stamparatus. I put them about 1/2 inch apart. I'm going to ink them with cinnamon cider. And then I'm going to take my cinnamon cider card base, put it in along the 1-inch line. I stamped it first on some grid paper, you can see, so I can see where the stitches start and stop. And I want to get the bottom stitches all the way down along the bottom of the card. This line here will make sure that your stitches don't go uphill or downhill. And you're going to stamp. And then lift carefully. We want to make sure that if there's anywhere where we need to touch up, we want to do that without moving the card. Looks good. Now you can leave it like that if you like. Looks really good, right? Or flip it and then line up the stitches. You can see where they start and stop so that you can stitch again in between each of those lines. So I'm going to re-ink and then stamp a second time, and we'll get a closer pattern. See how there's a stitch in between each of the stamps now? And there's our first background. I'm going to do the second copy of this card, and I'll meet you right back here for our next background treatment. All right, there's our second background. We're going to close this up and get it out of the way. Work on our second background treatment. So we've got a little piece of Pool Party cardstock there. We're going to emboss it with the Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder. This piece is 3 1/8 by 4 7/8, and all the measurements are on the printable project sheet. There's a printable project sheet on the blog, and it's also right below the embedded video. So when you click over to the blog, underneath the embedded video, you'll see a link that says click here for your project sheet, printable project sheet. That'll have all the measurements for you. All right, so we're gonna pop this little guy into this texture folder give it a crank. I'm going to do both at one time. It's a 3D folder, so we're going to use number 1 and number 4 with your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Looks fantastic, don't you think? All right, let me do the other one. All right, and there's our second one. Let's go ahead and glue them together. I'm gonna use some multi-purpose liquid glue and just glue this guy down. We got a beautiful stitched frame all the way around. And this kit makes 2. Let's do it again. All right, our designer series paper was cut in the first video according to the Wonder recipe. So we've got these 2 by 3 inch pieces, 1 of each pattern for each card. So we're gonna go ahead. Keep in mind that these 2 are the same paper. So when you're choosing your pattern based on what might show, you'll wanna choose accordingly. So I think I like that one. And then we'll do the same thing, give a little layout for our second card. And then I'm gonna glue them down with multi-purpose liquid glue so they're a little bit toggled up and down inside the blue textured paper. Okay, our last piece, a little bit low of center, a little bit toggled, so cute. We do all the die cutting and punching for you. We don't do your stamping or embossing, but we give you all the parts and pieces ready to go. So if you're cutting your own kit, let me show you what we've prepared here. You'll need 2 of each from Bermuda Bay. We cut this largest label from the Stitched So Sweetly labels. And then from Pool Party, we've cut this 2 1/4 inch scallop circle. Then from Whisper White, we did a 2-inch circle punch. So you can do a 2-inch circle punch if you have one, or do a 2 1/8 inch using your layering circles dies. Then my cutie little tag. I love this little guy. We've got some options for you here. I'm going to show you what I used because you might have it if you've been with me with Stampin' Up for a while. I used this little bitty tag right here. This is from my old coffee cups framelits dies. So if you've got those, that's the tag that I used. The reason why I used that one was a little bit long. I had started out with the Meadow dies. These are brand new. I love this die set and I love this little tag. This little tag was just a little bit longer than I wanted it. And then we would have to cut off the end on all the tags. So it just made it easier for me to pop into something that I already had in my stash. As crafters, that's what we do. So these are cut in your kit from that coffee cups, the retired coffee cups die set. But you could use the Meadow dies, and if you need a little tag, the Meadow dies are a current item that you could order right now. All right, before we get to stamping, we're gonna assemble some of the pieces here. I love to just get all the pieces adhered together as much as I can so that there's nothing to get lost in the shuffle. We're gonna use multi-purpose liquid glue. We're gonna glue our 3 layers together, and then we can bring them straight to the card and pop them on the card too. So now all those pieces are assembled and stuck, no risk of losing anything. I'm going to adhere this one to the other card base and then set up to do some stamping. And I'll meet you right back here with some ink pads and a Stampin' Paris mat. Okay, I'm back with a Stampin' Pierce mat and Calypso Coral ink. We're gonna stamp a tiny little heart on the tags. Now you can use, I used Hot Dog, this adorable little heart stamp, but you can use any punch with a little scrap of Calypso Coral or any little heart stamp that you have. Just a little detail that makes this whole project just so cute. So stamp a little heart. With the hole for the tag to the right, you'll stamp the little heart. All right, next up, we're going to take some of those strips that we made in the first video. So in your kit, you get half sheets of Whisper White cardstock. So if you're joining us and you've purchased the kit, you're going to take your half sheets of Whisper or of basic white cardstock, and you're going to cut 1 3/4 inch strips, and that's going to give you the perfect pieces for stamping and punching your scoops. We're going to need for this card 4 scoops, 2 cones, and 2 ice pops, and then the greeting thank you. So let's get started with our scoops. For my scoops, I'm going to start with the Calypso Coral one. I've got the scoop and the little speckle detail stamp. I'm going to stamp off, stamp my scallops down, and then we get a second generation scoop, a little bit lighter in color because we stamped it off. Then we'll go over with the details, first generation, so full strength ink. And there are our coral scoops. I'm going to wipe this off now, and we're going to do our Pear Pizzazz scoops. Try to go from cool colors to warm colors, but since we had Calypso Coral out, I did that. So what you want to do after you wipe off is just make sure that you're not transferring any of that Calypso Coral ink, because you don't want it mixed into your Pear Pizzazz ink pad. Orange and green or red and green make brown, so we're going to avoid that. And do the same stamp off technique, second generation, for our Pear Pizzazz scoop, and then the same full strength speckled details. We need 2 of those. All right, let's make an ice pop. We're gonna need 2 of them, so keep that in mind. For our ice pop, we're gonna use Bermuda Bay and Pool Party. I'm gonna ink the top of my ice pop with Pool Party stamp. Full strength for Pool Party. It's a lighter color than the Pear Pizzazz, the Calypso Coral. It's even a lighter color than the Bermuda Bay. So we'll stamp off our Bermuda Bay, and then we'll line up and make an ice pop. I love how those 2 colors just kind of blend together. Got those little details again. Let's stamp those with full strength Bermuda Bay. Now we're going to do this twice. I'm going to show you how I do this stick, and then I'm going to stamp another one. So let me just move my Pool Party for just a minute. I'm bringing in cinnamon cider and soft suede for the stick. The stick is a 2-step stamp. We're going to do cinnamon cider, stamp off, and add it to the bottom. And then the details and soft suede full strength. All right, we need a couple of cones next. The cones are going to be done exactly like the sticks. We're going to use cinnamon cider stamped off for the cone. Now, when you go to punch this, you want it upside down and tilted just a little bit. See how the punch is upside down and tilted? So do that. And we'll flip to the other end of the strip, upside down and tilted. Then let's get the details. The details are going to be full strength soft suede. Just a little bit more stamping before we get to the cutting. thank you greeting is from Sweet Ice Cream also. Have I even showed you that this time around? Sometimes forget to do that when I'm doing a series of videos. We're going to stamp thank you 2 times, 1 for each card. And let's clear away the ink and we'll punch and cut our ice pops. So this is the Sweet Ice Cream stamp set. It can be bundled currently with the Ice Cream Builder punch. It's carrying over into the new annual catalog, so we've got a whole year with it, which is wonderful. Go ahead and punch your cones and scoops. See how simple that is? We paid attention to the orientation of the punch, and now we can just feed in from either side depending on which thing we're punching. Get them punched out. Punch that one, and then our ice pop needs to be hand cut. So let me go ahead and fussy cut that guy, and then I will meet you right back here with everything all punched and cut, and we'll get these cards finished up. All right, guys, we've almost got them all trimmed out. Now, I don't usually do this, but I really felt like it needed, the sentiment needed to be stacked instead of long. So I'm actually going to fussy cut my sentiment. And I know it's really, really trendy right now, and it's not a trend that I have been endeared to, honestly. That cutout greeting just doesn't usually do it for me, but for this card, I think it was the perfect choice. So I'm just gonna bubble cut right around my words. I've done both sets of thank you now. And then I'm going to put a little bit of dimensional on the back. So here's thank and you. Now you'll notice that the TH goes over the ice cream cone here. So we're going to keep the dimensional to the ANK side of it. And then we're going to put a little bit on the U word also. So I'm using half of mini dimensionals here. And a couple of them works really nice for this. We're going to put some mini dimensionals on the back of our ice pop too. And they overlap just a little bit, the ice pop and the cone, so be careful to avoid that little edge where they overlap. Let's do some little half dimensional on the stick. And let's assemble our scoops. So I've got one already ready and dimensionals all on backs. Let's get this one all ready. I'm going to take a little tiny bit of multi-purpose liquid glue and put it on the bottom scallops of the Calypso Coral scoop. We're going to adhere to the cone, and then a little strip on the scallops of the Pear and Pizzazz scoop, and adhere. All right, let's get our card bases, our decorated card bases back in here, and pop these guys on. Don't lose your tiny little tags. Aren't they sweet? So we're going to start with this cone, and we're going to add an angle over the circle. Then we'll bring in our ice pop, and we're going to add that at the opposite angle so that it overlaps a little bit. And then our thank, you can add a bit of multi-purpose liquid glue on that TH. Remove the adhesive, expose the adhesive, and then we're going to add thank over the scoops. Then you can do just a dot on the swoop of the U because it's going to touch our ice cream cone. Maybe a little bit higher. Let's budget up a bit. Really cute. I'm going to catch this guy up. Go ahead and adhere its cone and ice pop. Okay, there we go. We've got 2 copies. They're all caught up to each other. Now our little tags and some ribbon. you have a choice here. You can go ahead and thread through the tag and tie the bow. That's what I do. Or you can adhere the tag with some dimensionals and then tie a bow and stick the bow on with a glue dot. That's completely up to you how you do it. I'm going to thread from front to back, and then I'm going to loop up, swoop over the top, tuck, and pull. And we want a tiny little bow here, not too big. We don't want to completely overwhelm our tag. All right, I got a nice bow size and shape here. Let's grab a dimensional. We're going to put a dimensional right on the back of the tag. Put that right up against the stick of the ice pop, and then trim it away from the spool and trim the end. One more time for our second copy. Okay, there they are. Our final step are these little sprinkles. I know they're so fine, but they really do make the card. You could stop right here if you wanted to, but I love these sprinkles. So I'm going to dump some out on the table here. I'm going to do them so that they go up from the greeting and then down from the tag. Put about 7 this way, about 5 that way, give or take. It's not a science, but what I like to do is just put my 7, 8, 9, whatever little drops of glue, kind of a random sprinkly pattern. And then I gotta take your pick tool. We're gonna pick up the sprinkle with the putty end of the take your pick tool and drop it right into those dots of glue that are prepared and waiting for you. If you have trouble getting one of the sprinkles away from the putty, like it just wants to stay with the putty instead of with the glue, paper snips right underneath there will help you lift it up. I'm going to pop these sprinkles onto these cards, get them all finished. All right, you guys, there they are, our thank you card. If you got any questions about the project, email marisa@kitchentablestamper.com. To see if there are still class packets available to follow along with this class, buzz over to kitchentablestamper.com/shop. For Stampin' Up! Supplies, you can check out marisaalvarez.stampinup.net, and I'll see you in video number 3 where we'll make this happy birthday card. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.